David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news here in Beijing. And back in the U.S., the 2 plane crashes, the images coming in now. First, President Trump and China's President Xi, the high-stakes summit here. President Trump using flattery, telling President Xi he is a great leader. President Xi delivering a warning to the U.S. And tonight, did President Trump get China to help with the war in Iran? China gets fuel from Iran. China is an ally of Iran. But will China help? Back in the U.S., the images coming in at this hour, the small plane crashing into a home, the family inside that home. 2 people on board the plane killed, and what a father and 2 children inside the home do to survive. The other crash we're watching tonight, a medical plane has gone down, crashing into a mountain, igniting a wildfire. Tonight, the outrage, the verdict overturned. The husband convicted of murdering his wife and son, that conviction overturned. Murdaugh now reacting, saying he's grateful he's no longer being called a murderer. Tonight, the prosecutors who say this is all because of the actions of a court clerk and not whether he did it. Tonight, the disturbing video, an American tourist now facing federal charges, accused of throwing a large rock at an endangered monk seal, and what he allegedly said when he was confronted. The concern growing, the hantavirus outbreak, now at least 41 people in the U.S. being monitored. The passengers, and now a growing number of people who weren't even on the ship, now being watched. The new report tonight involving FBI Director Kash Patel and his trip to Pearl Harbor, reportedly given a VIP snorkeling trip in hallowed waters where the USS Arizona went down. Tonight, the FBI's response on that trip, with Patel's travels coming under scrutiny before. Tonight, there is breaking news coming in involving Cuba. The CIA director meeting with top officials in Cuba. Matt Rivers, who traveled to Havana, with late reporting for us. Tonight, the dramatic video, a deputy ambushed, stabbed multiple times, saved by his vest. Behind the wheel, Leno and one of his prized American cars. Now it's the big prize up for grabs on Wheel of Fortune, and you'll see it as Leno pulls in. Tonight, Forever Young, the age reversal. The Rolling Stones in their new video that takes them back to their youth. The children using artificial intelligence to make money. The driverless cars, the robotics, and the children designing their own apps, cashing in on this new race.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Beijing.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the breaking news right here in Beijing. President Trump's mission to China, his high-stakes summit with President Xi. The 2 leaders about to meet for a second round of talks here. President Trump welcomed by President Xi with an elaborate ceremony at the Great Hall of the People. President Trump using flattery, calling President Xi a great leader here. Behind the scenes, the summit taking a serious turn. President Trump focusing on the war in Iran, asking China for help with its ally, Iran. The U.S. hoping China could put pressure on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. President Xi delivering his own message here, a sharp warning to the U.S. about Taiwan. ABC's Mary Bruce here in Beijing, leading us off tonight.
China giving President Trump the kind of spectacle he loves. Elaborate military displays. Children jumping and cheering. The full power of the Chinese state on display as the American delegation filed into the Great Hall of the People. Secretary of State Marco Rubio marveling at the ornate ceiling. Cameras jostling to get the shot as Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping entered the room. Trump lavishing praise on his host, calling Xi a friend, celebrating their, quote, fantastic relationship.
Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true.
Xi taking a different, more formal tone.
双方合则两利.
When our two sides cooperate, both benefit, he said. When we confront each other, both suffer. China and the United States should be partners instead of rivals. Trump brought with him the nation's leading CEOs, hoping to forge new ties on trade and technology. But according to Chinese state media, behind closed doors, Xi delivered a stark warning to the American president. Do not interfere in China's efforts to take over Taiwan. Threatening if handled poorly, the two countries will clash or even come into conflict, pushing the entire U.S.-China relationship into a very dangerous situation. Taiwan is an independent democracy, but China says it belongs to them, threatening to take it by force if necessary. After the meeting, both men tight-lipped.
How were your talks, sir?
It's great.
Did you talk about Taiwan?
Great place. Incredible. China's beautiful.
Trump came to Beijing with his own request that Xi use his influence over China's close ally, Iran, to open up the Strait of Hormuz, blockaded since Trump launched the war more than 10 weeks ago.
He said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help.
But it's unclear if Xi agreed to pressure Iran.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, you know, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that.
And David, China was out first with its statement, that warning about Taiwan. The White House readout came hours later and didn't lay out any specific progress, either on trade or Iran. And Xi has now announced he'll soon be welcoming another big visitor, Vladimir Putin. David.
Vladimir Putin coming here to China next. Mary Bruce leading us off here tonight. Mary, thank you. There is also breaking news back in the U.S. tonight. The images coming in as we're on the air. A small plane crashing into a home in Akron, Ohio. The family inside the home at the time. 2 people on board the plane were killed. And what a father and 2 children inside the home did to survive this. The other crash tonight, a medical plane going down in New Mexico, crashing into a mountain, igniting a wildfire. ABC's Trevor Ault and what we're learning about both crashes tonight.
Tonight, 2 people are dead after a small plane slammed into a home in Ohio. The family inside the house escaping from a devastating fire.
You just heard a real quick whining of it, like it was like revving. And then all of a sudden, boom, and an explosion. And our house shook.
Authorities say 2 people on board that plane were killed. You can see the tail of the plane wedged in the wreckage of the home. Officials say a man grabbed his wife and 2 children and ran out.
His 2 children were upstairs napping, actually. He was able to get everybody out.
It comes hours after a medical transport plane crashed in the mountains of New Mexico, leaving 4 people dead and igniting a wildfire. Authorities say the small propeller plane took off from Roswell carrying 4 crew members and medical personnel around midnight. It lost communications, vanishing from radar, then crashed.
This is a devastating loss. This one hits closer to home than just geographics.
David, federal officials are now investigating both of these crashes, and the family inside that Akron house did all make it out safely. David.
Trevor Ault reporting tonight. Trevor, thank you. We turn now to the outrage after the verdict in a case watched by the nation has now been overturned. The husband convicted of murdering his wife and son, Alec Murdaugh, reacting tonight saying he's grateful he's no longer being called a murderer. Tonight, prosecutors say this is all because of the actions of a court clerk and not whether the husband did it. Here's Steve Osinsami.
Through his lawyers tonight, Alec Murdaugh is sharing from prison that he's thankful the state's highest court threw out his murder convictions.
He said, I'm reading it, I see it, I still don't believe it, but it's just sinking in. It's hard to believe that my conviction has been overturned.
But at least one of his former jurors is telling reporters the decision is hard to believe. And prosecutors vowed to avenge the deaths of his wife and son before the end of the year, saying that the murder convictions were thrown out because of the actions of this former county clerk and not because he's innocent.
They still require justice, and that's our job.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
Former County Clerk Becky Hill, who read the verdict and handled the jury, pleaded guilty to misconduct and perjury charges after she allegedly told jurors not to be fooled and to watch him closely when he testified, which she has denied. His lawyers say they'll ask to move the next trial and for the jury to be sequestered, and they say he maintains his innocence.
Murdaugh is in his 50s and is still serving 2 concurrent state and federal sentences for his financial crimes that will keep him locked up for 40 years. So prosecutors say that no matter what, he's not getting out of prison anytime soon. David?
Steve Osunsami on this case tonight. Steve, thank you. Tonight, the disturbing video here, an American tourist now facing federal charges, accused of throwing a large rock at an endangered monk seal, and what he allegedly said when he was confronted. Here's Melissa Adon.
Tonight, the man seen here throwing a large rock at an endangered Hawaiian monk seal's head is facing federal charges and possible prison time.
What are you doing?
The video of the incident earlier this month seen by millions. 38-year-old tourist Igor Litvinchuk in Maui watching the seal that locals have named Lonnie swimming close to shore, hurling that rock as the seal rears up out of the water. Another video showing him being detained and questioned, but later released. Litvinchuk, who was visiting Hawaii from Washington State, was arrested Wednesday near Seattle and charged with violating the Endangered Species Act. Prosecutors say the man told witnesses that he was, quote, rich enough to pay the fines. Litvinchuk appeared in court in Seattle late today. He's expected back in court in Honolulu later this month, where he faces up to 2 years in prison and tens of thousands of dollars in fines if convicted. David?
Melissa Adon tonight. Melissa, thank you. We're going to turn now to concern growing over the hantavirus outbreak. Now at least 41 people in the U.S. are being monitored. The passengers from that ship, and now a growing number of people who weren't even on the ship being monitored in multiple states. Here's Victor Akendo.
Tonight, the number of Americans being monitored following that deadly hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship growing to at least 41, while that sick passenger in France remains in intensive care, relying on an artificial lung to survive. At least a dozen states now tracking 25 passengers from that ship, as well as an additional 16 people who the CDC says were not on the cruise, but may have been exposed to an infected person during travel, including on flights. Overnight in Kansas, 3 people were transferred to the hospital for observation after officials say they had high-risk exposure to an infected person while abroad. The 3 were not passengers on the ship. It comes as we are learning that American who initially tested positive for hantavirus is now medically cleared and may have gotten a false positive.
I'm fairly confident that he never had hantavirus. That doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't have an exposure, but at this point it doesn't appear that he had the disease during his cruise.
Dr. Stephen Kornfeld, released from the biocontainment unit at the University of Nebraska's Medical Center, now moved to the quarantine unit where 15 other Americans are being monitored.
David, we're outside the quarantine unit in Omaha. In total, there are 41 people being monitored for hantavirus across the country, including those 3 taken to the hospital in Kansas. David?
All right, Victor Akendo with us again tonight on this. Victor, thank you. We turn now to the new report this evening involving FBI Director Kash Patel and his trip to Pearl Harbor, reportedly given a VIP snorkeling trip in hallowed waters where the USS Arizona was bombed. Tonight here, the FBI's response on that trip, with Patel's travels coming under scrutiny before. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, a new controversy for FBI Director Kash Patel, battling accusation he too often mixes government business with personal pleasure. The Associated Press reporting that while on an official visit to Hawaii last summer, Patel took a rare VIP snorkeling tour of Pearl Harbor, long considered hallowed waters, the Navy arranging for him to swim near the wreckage of the USS Arizona, where 900 sailors and Marines perished after the Japanese bombed in World War II. The snorkeling expedition was not on Patel's public schedule, but tonight the Navy confirming it happened. A spokesperson saying Patel's group was briefed not to touch, come in contact with the USS Arizona in any way while they were swimming nearby. The episode, one of several, raising questions about whether Patel is using his public role to score personal perks. During the Olympics, he was seen on camera pounding beers with the U.S. men's hockey team as they celebrated their gold medal. Patel insists he was in Milan on unrelated official business. Earlier this week, he was grilled in Congress about reports he has a drinking problem, something he flatly denies.
Episodes of excessive drinking, unexplained absences, and behavior that concern current and former FBI and DOJ officials. Is it your testimony that those allegations are categorically false?
Unequivocally, categorically false.
A spokesperson did not deny that the snorkeling took place, but said Patel was on a historical tour to honor heroes who died on the USS Arizona, not a party, David.
Pierre Thomas live in Washington. Pierre, thank you. Tonight there's also breaking news involving Cuba. We have learned the CIA director meeting with top officials inside Cuba. Our Matt Rivers, who recently traveled to Havana, has late reporting for us tonight. Matt, what have you learned?
David, that surprise visit by CIA Director John Ratcliffe to Cuba earlier today comes amidst extraordinary tension between Cuba and the United States. A senior CIA official telling ABC News the message from Ratcliffe: Cuba is a national security threat and must not allow adversaries like Russia and China use of the island. The Cuban government saying they pose no such threat. An ongoing U.S. oil embargo has Cuba's power grid near collapse, with massive blackouts near daily across the island, including earlier today. And now President Trump has repeatedly threatened military action against Cuba if the government there does not undertake significant reforms. David?
We continue to watch Cuba here. Matt Rivers tonight. Thank you, Matt. When we come back, the disturbing images this evening. The deputy attacked, stabbed multiple times. We're told he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Also, the very close call tonight. The police officer's split-second decision when he realizes they were high schoolers playing with water guns. Later tonight, here Jay Leno in one of his favorite American cars. That car is now up for grabs. It's the big prize on Wheel of Fortune, and you'll see it. And then right here in China tonight, the children here using artificial intelligence to make money. You've seen the driverless cars here, the robotics, now the children designing their own apps and cashing in this new race. We'll show you how in just a moment. Don't go away. Tonight, a Florida deputy attacked and stabbed multiple times, saved by his bulletproof vest. Called to investigate a suspicious person, his body cam showing the man then lunging at him, taking him down, stabbing him multiple times, then fleeing into the woods. Other officers then arriving. That man eventually taken into custody in the squad car, then allegedly telling the deputy, "I should have killed you." He's being held without bond tonight. Tonight, a very close call for a Michigan police officer and a student playing a water wars game. The officer suspecting a crime in progress. They were high schoolers with water guns, though. The officer shining a light on a car, a teen popping out with a water pistol. The officer's decision, obviously not to shoot, a split-second decision. The Davidson Township Police Chief sharing the video as a caution to students playing that potentially dangerous game. When we come back tonight, the Rolling Stones Forever Young. Take a look at this. This is the Rolling Stones and their new video tonight and the age reversal, taking them back to their youth. What do you think about this? Right after the break. To the index, Jay Leno helping to handpick a famous car, now the top prize for a jackpot winner on Wheel of Fortune. The former late-night host and car enthusiast, of course, showing co-host Vanna White. The 2026 Chevy Corvette C8 that will go to the winner of the show's Big Money Week tomorrow. Leno calling the car America's sports car. It's valued at $70,000. Good luck to the winner. Next tonight, the uncanny Rolling Stones music video using artificial intelligence to create deepfake versions of Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, looking like they did back in the 70s, some 50 years ago, for their new single, In the Stars. The video showing the Stones performing at a house party featuring actress Odessa Zine from Marty Supreme, part of the rollout of their new album, Foreign Tongues, coming out in July. When we come back here tonight, here in China, the children now making a lot of money off of artificial intelligence and how they're doing it. Finally tonight here, amid the high-stakes summit, the children here in China already making money using artificial intelligence. Here's Selena Wang.
Private tutor Yuan Jianma has a long waiting list. Ma says her students aren't just learning about AI, some of them are already making money.
Here you can talk with your original character.
Candy Tang is 12 years old. She wants to one day be the CEO of her own gaming company. She's already built this app that lets people talk to virtual friends.
I'll tap hello here and it will respond.
Tell me what she said.
It says, hello.
She's built this reservation system for the local swimming pool, and she built an AI tool to connect people with doctors for medical advice.
What kind of advantage do you feel like these extra classes give you?
If I have any problems, I can use AI to make an app to solve it.
Angela Wang is 14.
This is me, and I was been bitten by the zombie.
She built her own AI-driven app to help runners train.
You made an app to help yourself train for running a race. How does it work?
My app name is Zombie Run. Like when you don't run, the zombie will chase you.
Oh, is this our car?
The next generation here is growing up with AI everywhere.
I'm gonna get in. So I'm in the back of a cab in Beijing, no driver behind the wheel, just AI.
We take a driverless taxi and head to a local mall where shoppers can buy anything from AI companions to robotic dogs.
Oh, so she said I could buy their robots today.
And the price tag for the humanoid robot starting at $13,500. The four-legged robot starts at $1,600. Here in China, the question isn't whether children should learn AI, it's how fast and how lucrative. For kids like Candy, who is just 12, she's already making money off of her AI inventions.
Does any part of AI scare you?
AI never scare me because I think AI is a tool. If I use AI, then I will be the scary person.
Our thanks to Selena Wang tonight. The AI race is definitely on. I'm David Muir in Beijing. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.